I just want to let you know I'm the director of the Imagination Library program for the Literacy Cooperative in the greater Cleveland area. And I come to that with the experience of having I've taught 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and I taught kindergarten for 10 years in the Chicago area. I taught a little when I was in graduate school in Boston. So I do have a master's degree in early childhood education. And I also took care of infants at various points as a nanny. And then I have a 14-year-old of my own, so I took care of him, of course. So I've got some good experience and hopefully can be a help to all of you. I want to start out by quoting an expert on play, one of the foremost experts on play. His name's Dr. Stuart Brown. He founded the National Institute for Play, and he's done a lot of research on play in humans and animals. And this is the quote, and this is why it's important. If we don't play, we're more reptilian and more savage. So he had studied violent and homicidal young men, and he found one common denominator among all of them, and that was play deprivation across their lifespans. And conversely, he's found that a healthy play life is a quality of healthy individuals. So having grown up with a healthy play life creates healthier individuals. And we're going to talk a little about what you can't have quality play without quality toys and learning materials and experiences. So that's what we're going to talk a bit about today, and then the great gifts for your children. So early childhood experts, pediatricians, scientists, and economists have all been touting the critical role of play in the development of brain and cognitive and social abilities. Quality play experiences from birth on enhance higher level language and thinking skills, empathy, trust, irony, attentiveness, persistence, impulse control, and an ability to solve complex life problems. Or more simply put, quality play experiences create more capable, creative, contented, and productive citizens. So children need to interact meaningfully with real objects and people if they're to develop optimally. We need to provide those experiences with real objects. Those early years, the first 5 years of life, are called the sensory motor period of development. And that's because children learn using all of their senses. They need to be interacting using their sense of touch. They need to be hearing, seeing, and then obviously we want them to be able to be articulating their ideas, whether we can understand them or not, playing around with sounds. And what are the other touches? Oh, smelling, of course. And then we want to be talking about those with them and helping them identify them, understand them. So that's why when we define what a good toy or learning material is, we say that the less the toy does and the more the child does with it, the better the toy or learning material. And the more the toy is doing, the less your child is learning. So that's why you want to have, often it's very simple objects that are going to be optimal for children for playing. So we're going to be providing you links to a few resources with more information and guidelines where if you're not able to take notes or remember all of this, and I can't cover everything in 15 minutes, you can go to those for ideas. So should I tell them what those are, Emma?
Sure.
Yeah, so this is a handout that, we wanted to find out how old their children were, right?
We have Amber right now. She is a 1.5-year-old.
Okay.
And that's what we have so far.
Okay. Not Jennifer and Johnny or whatever? No. Okay. So, so this is from 0 to 3, which is an organization that focuses on supporting healthy development of children birth to age 3. And they just wrote an article about best toys for babies and toddlers. So I can recommend that. Oh, and look at the picture. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a cardboard box. So that a family has created, turned into, it looks like a rocket ship. So they knew that the child was interested in those, and took a simple material and made it a great gift for a child. So here's a little boy, this little stuffed animal. He's got a little mug. He's giving it a drink. Anyway, this is a great document. And then we also have the National Association for the Education of Young Children, NACY for short, has lots of resources for parents now on their website, and even a membership level available for parents to be able to access even more information. And they have this document called Good Toys for Young Children by Age and Stage that you can access whether you're a member or not. And then lastly, an organization called Truce, Teachers Resisting Unhealthy Children's Entertainment, has some great guides, has some great information about the importance of play, and some ideas for you of simple things that you can put together, little kits, boxes, how you can create good play experiences for your children. And when we talk about quality play, one phrase I want to use is unstructured play. So that was what Stuart Brown was talking about. It's play that is not, it's not something that is being controlled. Playing on a sports team, that's not unstructured play. So it's where the child gets to explore for a long period of time, delve into, if they're getting really involved in some pretend scenario, or they're doing the same thing over and over again, like experimenting with filling a bucket, dumping it out, filling a bucket, dumping it out. They're actually making observations. They're learning things while they do that. And when I see children engaging for a long time in a play experience, I'm really happy. Sometimes I've noticed people at museums where they're trying to move their child along, say a children's museum, they're really involved in something, but they want to go see other things because they feel like they have to fit it in. If I could, I would sometimes say to them, be happy. That's really great that they're so engaged in that particular experience. Okay, so I'm going to just start showing little things for infants and toddlers. So, you know, we all know that little rattles, when they're really young, rattles, and these toys can be great little toys for children. What I wanted to also say is that this toy, while it's good for an infant, this is something that's worth keeping even as they outgrow infancy, toddlerhood, because they might incorporate this into pretend play later. This is a great little toy for you to take out and about so that you can be talking about how you could be counting, you could be talking about the colors, you could be talking about a caterpillar, and if you had the book Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle, you could be recounting the story, or maybe you've read other books about it. That's gonna enrich the experience with this. And that's another important point, is that quality play, when children are young, they need adults to interact with them and guide them to get the most out of the play. Parents can be guides and want to be attentive to their children and participate in the play as the child desires. So you can bring more out of an experience by making comments and pointing things out that the child wouldn't. So about the different colors and how many different colors are there, and let's talk about these colors, and give them more information. So, and then I always like to say balls, and I know that they may seem a simple thing, but if you get some special new balls for children and you play games with them, you can sit down on the floor, you know, put your legs out and be rolling it back and forth. You can see if it bounces, talk about it while you're doing it. That could be a great toy for little ones. And as they get older, and again, be sure to read the labels to see if it's safe for children under age 3. So you want to avoid things for older kids, for the younger kids, or if you have multiple children in your family and lots of different toys, you're just going to need to supervise carefully. But of course, children love things that go, little vehicles animal figures for pretend play. And then I wanted to show you, well, here I have my penguin. And so if you got them some penguins, but you could also pair the gift with a nonfiction book about the things that interest your child or pique their interest, build their curiosity by getting a book, and then the play will become richer because they'll have more to work with, more knowledge, and they'll be able to do more pretend play with that and attach vocabulary and ideas. Even before they're speaking, it'll be going on in their brain and getting embedded in their brain. So whether it's dinosaurs, you can get a book about dinosaurs. But you can pair the books with toys. This is a set of a little tube of animals for, this is older than 3, I think, because they're small. But these cost $10, and this will give you so much quality play over time, especially if you attach it with books that are related to the different kinds of animals or nature. So, and yeah, more farmyard things. So again, you could get some books about a farm and farmyard animals, and then be talking about it and what sounds do they make. And these are little things you could put in your purse and carry out and about with you when you're waiting or when you're out, hand them to your child and sing songs, you know. If you can learn the songs about 5 little ducks went out one day, or, you know, old MacDonald had a farm, and then have these along with you. Say you're shopping or you're out and about in the stroller, the child could be hopefully, you know, maybe interacting with those. Okay, now, and then as children get older, they love to pretend, right? So, oh my, I recommend going to Goodwill, rummage sales. My son was so happy when I gave him his own they love to pretend and do what adults are doing. They love to model what we're doing. So if we're cooking at home, they can be playing with their own little sets. Now you can go and get children's dishes and things, but you don't have to. You can find other ways to get those things that are unbreakable and just give them their own set, and they will make the most of it. And then building materials. I think for every age, you want to give them blocks and building materials from the youngest age so that they can be experimenting with stacking things up, putting one thing inside of another, knocking it down, putting them together in different ways, and their play is going to evolve over time. So they're going to start out just with basic, often just lining things up or just doing basic things. But in order to advance their play skills and their play level, they need to have been given opportunities to practice. And then as they develop, they're going to do more and more complex play with these materials. And these you can get much bigger blocks. There's I can't remember what they're called for infants, but there's Duplos, which are pretty big, but they have bigger ones for infants so that are safe. And then infants and toddlers, then this is 1.5 to 5 for Duplos, and then you can graduate up to Legos. But there's all kinds of building materials, so I recommend any of them. I also recommend, I forgot to mention this, the Cuyahoga County Public Library has a toy lending library, and it's a great place to try out things to see if it's something that captures your child's interest and attention before you actually go out and purchase something. You could try it out and see if it's something they like, and then decide if you want to invest in it to own it for yourself later. Okay, so I did building blocks. Oh, I did it the wrong order. That's why I had the outline in front of me. Sorry, it's our first time. Animal and vehicle figures, everyday objects. Yeah, let's talk about this. So, and again, you could put together a whole collection of this stuff in a big cardboard box, and if you haven't done this already, if you already are doing this with your child, pat yourself on the back if you've already provided all of these things. But then you know that you're doing the right kinds of things. But in the bathtub, anywhere in the living room, these are great toys. In the kitchen while you're doing something, or if you're doing laundry, you can give children everyday objects, and they'll find things to do with them. You know, they'll figure out that they're and you can give them masking tape and when they're a little older, they'll need help with this, but to build and connect things, or you can do these activities together to build something. You could build a rocket with it. It could be a tunnel, it could be a vehicle, it could be a caterpillar. So everyday objects can provide great learning opportunities. And I showed you before the cooking tools. My niece was visiting us, and my son is many years younger than she, but they created a restaurant and they wrote out a menu, and I had given them these. They used these as money, just little raffle tickets, and then they made chocolate chip cookies out of paper and scissors. And they'll find creative ways to pretend and do fun stuff. And then for the holidays, if you take your time is a precious gift. So if you could take time and do a little homemade craft or material with them. Pipe cleaners, by the way, are a great toy and would be a great holiday gift, because kids they'll blow you away with what they come up with. So getting the right materials and an opportunity to demonstrate their creativity, they will be creative. And again, feed their brains with books, nonfiction and fiction alike. So this is a little, you could decorate this to make it more attractive than this, but a little musical instrument. All right. So yeah, I recommend creating that a space too for children to create. So I have here, we have so many tools you can use. These are Kangaroos. You can carry those in your purse, but you could get the child their own little tablecloth and or cookie sheet. And it doesn't have to be this fancy school-like one, but you could give that to them as a gift if you haven't already set up a creative space for them where they can have markers, Play-Doh tools, etc. You can give that to them and let them know if you're concerned about messes in your house or messes leaving a certain space. You set the rules and you tell them this is where you can play with your crayons and your markers and your paper or your Play-Doh. This is where it needs to stay. If it leaves, then we're going to put it away. Maybe we'll do another session someday on positive discipline about how you handle those more difficult situations and the words that you can use. But give them a space and they'll get excited. What else do we have that I wanted to show them? Just little things like this. This is a matching game. So, but you don't need to always use it as a matching game. These are things that you could take out and about, again, for your child to look at. And I recommend always taking books out with you. There's so much to talk about with these, especially if you've been reading to them and they know what these objects are, but you can tell them about them. And you can be learning too. It's great for parents to model. Say you don't know what kind of bird this is. You can say, well, I'll try to find out too. I can learn too. And model, oh, it's a cardinal. I learned it's a cardinal. It's bright red in the wintertime. And actually it's not as bright red in the wintertime. Bright red, yes, during mating season it really gets bright red, and then during the summer. And here's a kangaroo, and what's in the pouch? That's a marsupial. A marsupial is a kind of animal that lives in the mommy's pouch and grows there. Anyway, the more you feed that child's brain with books and information, the richer their play will be. And the toys that you give them can be simple as can be, but their play can be rich. So, are we ready for questions? Or?
Yeah, we can do questions as we're waiting for questions to come in. Joan can keep talking. She has plenty of things to share with you, but please, if you have any questions, please go for it and ask. We're very, very happy to answer those.
I'm showing you right now some catalogs. This is a local play store that I love, Play Matters. They used to have more locations. Now they're just in Pepper, Pike, and Solon, unfortunately. They used to be in Shaker Square, but I'm just showing you, this is a teacher catalog. This is a teacher catalog. That's where I got these pattern blocks. Oops. The pattern blocks that I was holding. It's probably where I got I might have gone, I don't know where I got the balls, but I know a lot of the animal figures and things probably came out of this catalog, and the Play-Doh toys, tools, and maybe even some of the blocks, I'm not sure. But if you go in with friends even to get sets of things, you could get them for a very reasonable price. And then there's just all these other good catalogs. Any questions yet? Okay. Another good gifts for children I would suggest are magazine subscriptions. So then the child, and especially after you're no longer, your child turns 5 and they're not in Imagination Library anymore, and you want them to keep getting something in the mail, this is an economical way to do it. So this is Ranger Rick magazine. If you go to the National Wildlife Federation's website, they have a number of nature magazines. Again, these are going to give your child vocabulary that's going to feed them with different concepts and rich content for play. And then so Ranger Rick, and then they go for different ages. They have magazines that are specifically for infants and toddlers, then for preschoolers, then for older kids. So you can choose which is appropriate. This is this Zoo Books. It's at the same website, but they have right now, they're having a special, like a sale, I think at the moment, where things are half price. So you can get Zoo Books and these little animal figures to go with them. And what else did I want to show people? So this is a game called Math Dice that I got at Play Matters. It's for children ages 6 and up, but these are something you could again take in your purse, and you could make up things to do with them before your child turns 6. You could make up games using these. There's other big dice you could get too. So different card games like Uno or Blink, and even just a set of playing cards can be a great thing to take out and about. These are, my son was really into space and space exploration from the time he was 2 or 3 years old, and has wanted to learn everything he possibly could. So we spent a lot of time at NASA and got him this set of cards, but there's a picture on the back, and then there's different spacecraft on the front with a little information. So that's something, again, that you could take out and about with you. Does anyone want to make a comment on what they noticed that I haven't said is the best toy or gift for a child? There's some things that I have not mentioned at all. And I wonder if you would have observed that and wonder why at all. But anyway, like when you're out and about, opt for something like this. And then I was going to show you these tangrams. Tangrams are ancient Chinese puzzles. They come with 7 pieces. And you can get puzzles online. I think I bought these at Lakeshore Learning Supply. They get progressively more difficult. So they start out where they show you how the pieces fit in. But then as a child, this helps the child develop spatial intelligence. So then, like, I would have a hard time completing this. But if I practiced a lot with them, then I'd really get to know the shapes and how they work together. And then I get better and better and have a better spatial intelligence. And of course, you can talk about the shapes, the colors. And I didn't talk about, when children are playing, they're developing their motor skills, whether fine or gross motor. We want that. They're developing spatial skills. They're getting a sense of how things, logical, mathematical, how things work. When you manipulate an object or when you move it, you're learning valuable things. So again, the more the child's able to interact and do with the toy or learning material, the better. Another great gift, stacking cups, but also experiences, whether a trip to the museum or a nature center, a nature hike, and then a trip to the library. Children will be happy with all of those things. I think sometimes we think we have to do big and dramatic, but we want them to have a good attention span and curiosity. So, and the ability to persist at something, and only playing with meaningful materials is that going to happen.
So we have another woman who joined Morgan. So it's Morgan and Amber now, who both have 18-month-year-olds.
Oh wow! Yeah,
and they are wondering, from the toys you have there, what kind of suggestions would you offer for that age group?
This is another thing. A scarf. So I'm trying to think. This catalog, I have one. Big scarves, or like a blanket of their own, or a sheet that they can use with a cardboard box. For pretend play, dolls and puppets are great. Again, you want to get age appropriate toys that are safe. Variety of balls. So if you already have balls, you might just want to get something a little different, but of course something that's going to be safe in your household that you feel good about. I want to see if this catalog has these wonderful play scarves. Animal figures and vehicles and little people figures. So, and I would definitely recommend everyone should have unit blocks. So I don't think I actually showed these earlier, but blocks, basic wooden blocks. This is one of the most important things you should have in your house. And then the kinds that connect together too. So these are for 1.5-year-olds, Duplos. This is one of the best investments you could make. And what I meant to say earlier is that, so some of the toys for older kids wouldn't be appropriate for infants, but a lot of the things that you're going to buy for your 1.5-year-old are going to have value for years to come, because if your child develops a rich play life, they're going to find different ways of interacting with them. And as a teacher, I always said I wanted to plan activities for my students that had multiple entry points, so that no matter where a child entered, they could exit with some success, so that they had some good experience that came out of it, that developed their brain, that gave them a new idea or a new sense of mastery. So the more children have practice with all these materials sooner, the more they're going to master, and they're going to go through these stages of play, because they're stages of block building. So an infant might just start laying things flat like this, and then they'll start stacking, but eventually they're going to build enclosures, but they can't get, and then they're going to make more complex enclosures. And again, while they're doing these things, you can be commenting on what they're doing. You might participate a little with them. We want you interacting with them, and then it's going to be a more valuable experience. But you say, oh, why did it fall? Or, oh, do you think it's going to stand if I do that? Oh, it fell. Why do you think it fell? Let's try again. And then you could talk about the shapes. But if they don't have that experience with these materials earlier on, they're going to be slower to go through those stages. So they'll do more and more complex play, and their brains will be developing more as they go. Now, and we want experiences that stimulate multiple parts of the brain simultaneously, because then those connections are being made. And so if they're playing with you with these, and you're talking about what you're doing, you're stacking it so high. How many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4. And you give them specific praise rather than just good job. Say, oh my gosh, you stacked it all by yourself. You stacked 5 pieces. That's gonna be better for them as well. So definitely building toys, little moving vehicles that are safe for them, animal figures, and I would pair them with books, because again, and then read to them, because that's the greatest gift of all. And then they have more material in their brain. Even if they can't, they have incredible receptive language then. They might not be able to talk to you, but if you have been talking to them and feeding their brain with words and narrating the day with them, they have incredible receptive language abilities at this age. It's amazing what they figure out. So feed their brains. with information, and you'll be promoting their curiosity too.
All right, great. Now we have another one from Amber. She says, can you suggest any 11-year-old friendly and year-and-a-half-year-old friendly activities at the library?
At the library?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, yeah, I mean, do you mean from the toy lending library? Is that what she means? What do you think?
Can we just libraries in general? If they go to a library together as a family, is there something that both of them can do?
You can go to the 11-year-old and year and a half. Well, there usually are play areas for the younger children, and hopefully the 11-year-old, you could put on the job of finding some nonfiction books for both of them about a topic that they want to learn more about. There are games, if you're going to get stuff from the toy lending library, there are games like, I'm trying to think, for a 1.5-year-old. I would say again, like blocks. I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble with it, but the 11-year-old could hopefully read to the 1.5-year-old maybe.
What about at home?
At home. So I think, again, playing with balls, building, toys, figures, an 11-year-old could be a great playmate for a 1.5-year-old modeling. Now, the 1.5-year-old will not have the patience of an 11-year-old, and the 11-year-old wouldn't have the patience of an adult, and even our patience is often tested. But the 11-year-old could read to them, dancing. So getting some trying out different kinds of music. That's another thing. You could get out CDs at the library if you have a CD player, or upload music like classical music, Mbira music. That's the thumb piano from Africa. You could try Latin music. You could try, flamenco, African drumming music. Expose them to Chinese music, and you could move to it in different ways and dance and talk about how it makes you feel. Play-Doh. You know what? Play-Doh. An 11-year-old, a 1.5-year-old, I guess you have to be careful that they're not eating it. So it would need to be supervised. And I'm a little out of touch with 1.5-year-olds, so I'm having a little trouble. But as that 1.5-year-old gets to be 2 and 3, Play-Doh is going to be really fantastic. It's very therapeutic. It's very relaxing, very stress reducing. And 11-year-olds probably could be really super creative with Play-Doh or clay as well. And again, I would just say as many pretend materials as you could, like with that. So the figures, the animal figures, and the vehicles and the blocks, building blocks, because the 11-year-old could have fun maybe building and extending play and commenting on it and being a great playmate for that 1.5-year-old. Give them boxes and, again, sheets or something so they could play little hiding games or, pretend they're doing different scenarios. So again, the more information that 11-year-old has about the world and about different experiences, whether it's space travel or whatever, they can be, using their imagination to pretend that the box is a spaceship. Or you could have the 11-year-old help actually for the 1.5-year-old, maybe the 11-year-old would be willing to turn a big box into a little play kitchen for the child, whether it's a play stove or refrigerator, or pretend you're cooking, cutting up, pretend food. The 11-year-old could be doing things like what my niece did for my son of, creating little things out of everyday objects for the 1.5-year-old and they to interact and play with, make a little restaurant, make an airport. I don't know, the possibilities are endless. So again, that Truce Teachers website has some great ideas for using cardboard boxes and other things. And then games.
Do we have any other questions right now? Anything that someone else wants to add or ask about toys or even just Imagination Library right now? Joan is our Imagination Library director, so she knows everything there is to know about Imagination Library. So if you have a question about that, feel free to ask that now as well.
I hope this is helpful. If you're already doing all of these things, then you can feel good about that. And if there's adjustments you need to make for better brain building and toys and play experiences for your children, then you should congratulate yourself for joining us today. And you can spread the word too. I'm trying to think if I want to show them anything else.
Thank you, Morgan.
Does Morgan have a question?
No. She said it is helpful.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I just showed this picture again. So again, this is like something an 11-year-old could do for the 18-month-old. You know, they could play together pretending they're going to space or building a rocket ship or a car. Things like that. And the 11-year-old would feel more competent after doing something like that. It would be promoting their creativity and their problem-solving skills and give a chance for you to give them some specific praise and support, commend them for helping out in that way. Because children these days, I'm sorry, but children are not getting enough opportunities to mess around with three-dimensional materials. And they really, really need it. And then they need to be able to do it with other people so that they're talking about it as they're doing it, and creating with three-dimensional materials based on what they're learning. So if they're learning about a certain subject in school, if they can be creating with it or singing songs related to it, but you know, say they're learning about impacts, use some cardboard tubes and give them pipe cleaners and tape and make a caterpillar with 6 legs, or well, not a caterpillar because a caterpillar doesn't have 6 legs, but say you're making a butterfly. You're doing the stages of metamorphosis. So you're using these words, and then you can make take a little piece of Play-Doh or a tape, bundle it together. That's the egg. Then you have it hatching out of then it could make a chrysalis. So you wrap it up and make it into a chrysalis. Then you could make it into the butterfly using a cardboard tube and some paper, and then pipe cleaners. It makes 6 legs. Count 6 legs on each side. It has 6 legs. Oh, it's symmetrical. Have the symmetrical wings, so you're giving them more vocabulary. Then you make the antenna. Oh, these are antenna. 2 antenna. 3 body parts, if you can do 3 body parts. The, do I remember? Abdomen. Oops, I'm blanking out on the 3 parts of an insect. Sure, okay. Anyway, do you see, if they're doing that, they have, the learning is now embedded in their brain more effectively.
So Wanda is interested in what extracurricular activities help promote 3-year-old development the most. And she gives the example, was it sports, music, dancing? What is your perspective on that?
I think for 3-year-olds, I wouldn't necessarily say sports. My inclination would be to say music. Like, so I love kinder music. My son did kinder music from the time he was an infant all the way through kindergarten until he could graduate from that program. And it costs a little money, but it's incredibly worthwhile. The Music Settlement has music and movement. He did music and movement from the time he was a young infant until he was at least 18 months old. It's the Music Settlement. That's a fantastic experience both for you and the child. And then the other question was sports, music, or dancing is great. I mean, dance and movement are fantastic. And there is a place called where the kinder music teacher that we had, or business that we had, was on the east side. I live on the east side of town, and they now have something called Thrive Arts Center. So they have all kinds of classes for kids. And then of course you can do these things that you're often at the libraries, recreation centers, and the metro parks has great programming. You know what? Nature experiences, nature classes, research is so strong on that children who have had nature education experiences do much better on tests. They do better cognitively. Nature is a de-stressor for you. There's so much to learn. And so the Metro Parks has tons of free information. You can sign up to get a regular subscription to their program guide called the Emerald Necklace. Call them up. They'll mail it to your home for free. And then you can check it out every month, what they have planned. Nature Center at Shaker Lakes has some good experiences. The museums often have experiences. So going to museums, going on nature walks, those don't cost, well, many don't cost anything. The Children's Museum of Cleveland is fantastic too. So.
Great. You want to wrap up?
Thank you so much for coming. I do hope it was helpful. Think of more questions. Please share them with Emma. If there's something I just completely neglected, did anyone notice? Can anyone answer this question? What did I not say? What kinds of toys and learning materials did I not mention as effective for brain building or attention and quality play and a contented individual? Did anyone notice? No screens. I said nothing about screens because they don't engage the child the way we need children of the young children to be engaged. This is a particular period of development and brain development that requires interaction with real materials where the child is manipulating it, not swiping. They've done functional MRIs of children's brains, hearing books 3 different ways, and the screen way does not connect the different parts of the brain. It lights it up, but it doesn't connect it. It's the connecting that needs to happen. The phrase is use it or lose it. We do have plasticity in our brains. We can we can build them later in life, but the best time to build it optimally is in those first 5 years. So, I forgot to mention, the fewer commercials your children see on commercial television, the better off you're going to be and the better off they're going to be. So I just recommend PBS Kids and then educational programming DVDs, high quality, that's not so fast paced, not loud and crazy. And then as you're raising your child and your young child, if you are talking to them through the day, narrating the day, that's fantastic. But try to make sure that there's not much background noise. So you want to turn off the TV, turn off the radio, be sensitive to their hearing. Loud noises can damage their hearing early on. They're not supposed to be hearing sounds that are above certain decibels. So keep it down and just expose them to different experiences. But PBS Kids, if you're going to go to screens, and that's only after they're 2, and no more than 2 hours of screen time total ever in their lifetime per day. But the American Academy of Pediatrics and other experts say no screen time before the age of 2. If you can put it off longer, great. And that's again why I was recommending carrying things like this along with you, other things that can keep them engaged. Even, because you can be talking about the colors, even if you can't be giving them your full attention as you're out and about, you can be giving them some attention, and some attention is better than no attention, and your attention is better than a screen's attention. You have the power of parent talk. You are the powerful force in their life. You're their first teacher. You're their first love. So you can make the most of it. And you already, this is a great sign that you're interacting here with us today. So congratulate yourself. Thank you. How do I exit out?
All right, guys. Thank you again so much.
And send your more questions, more requests for other. If you want us to do another one of these and you have another topic suggestion, please send it our way. And then in the meantime, we can send links to resources for you as well to answer those questions. If we can't do another Facebook Live chat right away, we can send you an article maybe or some other tips. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. If you would celebrate the holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye.